Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The regular session of the Texarkana, Arkansas Planning Commission is called to order. Agendas are available on the rails, so please help yourself. We will take the items as they are listed on the agenda. I will read each item and ask the person responding to representing the request to come forward to the podium, state their name and address for the recording secretary. Present any information and make any comments you have about your request. Be prepared to respond to any questions that members of the Planning Commission may have of you. Thank you. Item number 1 on the agenda is roll call.
Edgar Smith.
Present.
Bertha Dunn.
Here.
Butch Thomas.
Present.
Jason Dupree.
Here.
Mike Jones.
Present.
Anderson Neal.
Here. We have a quorum and we can conduct business. Item number 2, adoption of the summarized minutes of the August 8, 2023 and August 15, 2023 summarized minutes.
Move for adoption. Second.
Move for adoption in a second.
Roll call.
Roll call vote. Voice vote.
Voice.
Yeah. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? There being none, minutes are adopted. Item number 3, conditional use permit, request by Dania Diffenbacher. Hopefully I said that right. 5915 Sammy Lane, Texarkana, Arkansas, 71854 for a conditional use permit to operate a daycare located at 410 Hickory, Texarkana, Arkansas, 71854. The property is zone 01, office and quiet business, and is legally described as the north 43rd foot of Lot 8 and all of Lot 9 located in the Block 42 of the original City of Texarkana, Arkansas, Section 30, Township 15 South, Range 28 West, Texarkana, Middle County, Arkansas, containing 0.205 acres more or less. Would you like to come?
Yes, okay. Y'all bear with me tonight while I get my feet on the ground with this. This request is to operate a daycare, and if I'm correct, Mr. Diffenbacher is the property owner, but he is not the individual that's actually going to run the daycare. He's going to lease it to someone else. This is where the daycare is located, right here. This is Hickory Street, 71 East Street, whatever you call it. The Viaduct is down here. Broad Street is up here with the McDonald's. Not Broad Street, East 9th is up here. Broad Street's over here. It's zoned 01, office quiet. This is residential behind it. And this here is C3 commercial. And we will look at that a little closer in a minute. The utilities, there's a 4-inch water on Hickory Street. There is sewer about 20 feet off the northeast corner of the property. And there is a fire hydrant here, which is about 155 feet from the property line. This is the actual building itself. This down here is currently the only parking that is available for the building that I'm aware of. The back is fenced. I can't get back there. But this is, as far as I know, the only parking available for the building. This is the property. This house here is a residence, and it is occupied. This here is for the sake of one. This is residential back here. This is the Texarkana Symphony Orchestra offices. This is currently being used as a church. This is an abandoned residence. And on this corner, there was a residence. It's burned down. The remains of that are still there. And this is a vacant commercial building. There was, at one time, a daycare operating out of this location. And it operated there for about 2 years. However, I cannot find where a conditional use permit was ever issued or a certificate of occupancy was issued. But based on the city directories and their Facebook page, there was a daycare there for some time. And I don't know how it operated under the radar, but it did. But I do know that Public Works at least did an electrical inspection on it. So it was John's Day School, I believe. That is all I have.
Do we have, I think the fire marshal needs to do an inspection on it.
Yes, and that is part of what I have listed as the staff recommendations here, is that the conditional use permit is conditional on them coming up to all ordinances and passing all state health and building requirements.
Right.
So they will have to have the electrical, they'll have to have all that done, they'll have to get a certificate of occupancy, they'll have to get the fire.
Okay.
And there are some requirements in our child care ordinance that they're going to have to
Right.
fulfill too.
That just needs to be
Yep.
met, so.
Jamie, is that, this is, what,
Just a second.
we've got limited parking. Is there any parking right there on 71? Is that right there on, where the sidewalk runs down? Is that available for parking?
I don't know. I will tell you, I have spoken to Roger Douglas, the building official, about this, and he is aware of all this, and he felt that it was worth them coming and getting a conditional use permit, that they could make this property work. So, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the child care ordinance, I'd have to look, but I don't believe, I'd have to look. You have it in there and I need to look, but for some reason I've got it in my head, you can't have parking in front. But I could be wrong about that.
Because of pickup. Yes, in other words, they would be doing it.
Well, pickup and drop-off is always a big issue, and traffic concerns are a big issue. If they've got East 4th Street to use for the pickup and drop-off, we don't want them picking up and dropping off on Hickory Street for sure.
And this building, I don't believe, it doesn't sit very far off of Hickory Street, so.
I don't think there's gonna be any parking available.
No parking in the front, just a little lawn and a sidewalk. So the parking lot on the 4th Street right away would be the only available.
And he needs to make sure that there's not anything requiring a certain amount of parking or anything like that in that.
Well, they could go into the backyard and make some extra parking spots, but that would require some concrete work and some planning and all of that, so. As long as they meet the codes and safety, safety for the children's primary.
We got a colleague over here pointed something out on the child care centers ordinance that Daniel was talking about. Flip over to page 2 of the 3 pages. It's about driveways. And wording shall provide a one-way circular driveway.
That's not there, can't put it in there, I don't think.
No, couldn't. That's in the ordinance.
I don't know if you went,
It's in the child care ordinance.
no, I know, but I don't know if you went further back. Well, too many buttons. If you came, here, that you might could do that.
Well, you might could put a circular drive through there, or semi-circular drive, but then you wouldn't have any more parking for the employees or anything like that. I think Roger needs to, well, it just has to have one way in and one way out.
Yeah. The line B down there where it says circular driveways.
It also has that 20 feet per 8 kids.
Yeah. It goes on over to the next page.
So did you see item F?
Shall
No,
is the word.
Well, but it says in commercial and industrial zones. This is an O1 zone. I don't know.
Did you guys see item F? page 3.
Childcare centers, when authorized under a conditional use permit, permitted to use in residential zones. That's what this is all about. Section 2856. Man, I missed that.
But
Make sure-
it says,
Well,
In
it
F,
qualifies for that.
loading and unloading of children's vehicles shall only be permitted on the driveway, comma, approved parking area, which this could be approved parking area, or directly in front of the facility. And you can't have directly in front of the facility.
Well, they got an approved parking area on the side.
That's what I'm saying, so, but that kind of conflicts with B.
Well, there are, that childcare ordinance has two parts. One part is for, applies only to in-home childcares, and the other, and that's in the end of it, I believe, is in-home childcares, and the rest of it applies to childcares that would be standalone in a commercial zone. Let me see if I have it here.
Yeah, because at the very top line, it says, for use in residential zones. That's the very top line.
But that's not, this is not.
It gets down to that, and the next section is commercial, is for commercial zones.
Right.
But is an O considered a commercial? It's not really, is it?
It's listed in the ordinance with the commercial districts.
Then it has to have that circle, semicircle drive. But then F says you don't, you can have approved parking area.
I think the wording on B down there where it says circular drives, that is the definition for circular drives, if you have a circular drive.
Okay.
That's got this,
But you can have just a parking area. I don't know.
is that the way you read it? It's not the way you read it?
It could go either way.
Yeah, it's conflicting, but shall only be permitted.
Is this the state requirement?
That is out of our ordinance.
It's
So
out of the city
it is,
ordinance.
it is at a minimum the state requirement. I mean, we may have added to the state requirement, but
I know we have one, it's not really a day, it's an after-school area where they just have pull-up parking. Remember that one we approved? And it just has pull-up parking, it does not have a circular drive. So we need to get a clarification on this,
okay.
at, not necessarily now, but at a time. So it'll be clear for future.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
City.
Do we have any more questions of staff, or directors? Do we have anyone here that wants to speak for the project?
You've explained it very well.
State your name, please, if you
Oh,
will.
I'm sorry. I'm Pamela Sharp. I'm the one going to lease the building from Mr. Diffenbacher for the, for the daycare. And I've had the fire department, Public Works,
Okay.
and the inspector to come in, and they've okayed everything, said everything was okay. We were just waiting on this conditional permit use to, open the daycare.
Room for a circle.
Okay.
Well,
Just a second.
and they said there was enough parking on the side for it.
They okayed everything. I mean, they looked at the parking, the inside and all that right there, and I have all the inspections. We're just waiting on this right here to to open.
How many parking spaces are in the, in that parking lot on the end, do you know?
Hold on. It looks like about 6 or 7, the way it may be more.
How many employees do you intend to have? Possibly.
Probably about 5.
Okay. So that designated employee parking, would that have to be?
The designated employee parking, we was gonna park on the front when y'all was saying about the front. And it's a door on where the parking spots are. There's a door where the kids can enter, into the door. That way, instead of going around, like what she said, Hickory, where it's a busy area. So, if we did do after-school kids or whatever, a bus had to drop them off or, or whatever, of course, it would be somebody designated out there to walk them into the building. But it's a door right there where the parking area is.
That's not a paved access or anything, that's just grass right there to the street, right,
We're about,
in front.
and it is.
And there's no parking space, you was talking about the employees parking there, there's not really a space for employees to park there.
Well, it's just that's where the last people, that's where the employees, I guess he could designate it as an employee parking, so it has to be concrete in order for it to be, or asphalt before you can designate it as a employee parking spot area.
I don't think dirt is considered an employee parking, so.
No, there's no parking on the front. That's a part of the curb of the street. The only parking you got is the 6 spaces you're calling on the south side of the building with the stairway going in.
And if you got 5 employees there coming in one car each, that's only leaves one parking place to drop off to pick up kids.
What do you think? Well, I was gonna say, what do you think we could park across the street?
Is there,
It's an area across the street where the building is right there, right behind the building. We could park
across the street?
across the street like,
That wouldn't be stuff you're leasing.
No.
No, we couldn't rule on that.
Yeah, that's, you'd have to talk to people that own that property on that.
okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Everything else looks good except parking, and you don't have a place for the pickup and drop off. Unless you wanted to do some construction work and do something at the rear of the building.
It's not anything you can do in the rear of the building because,
Not that much yard.
no, I can show you these pictures.
And that's the side parking. But this, you can take it, boys can take it.
This is the parking on the side.
Well, you could do something back here, but it would require some construction.
you said that all the city officials came out and looked at it,
Well, Mr.
okayed it.
Fire official.
The fire, public works, and the city inspector.
Once we look at this, the expense on the back, they'd probably take the fence down and put a parking area back there, which then the kids don't have any place to play, because you gotta have a fenced-in area for the kids to play.
Right.
So,
And, going up that slope, it's a lot of stairs, it's concrete, you have to
Right.
go, it's really.
but
Okay,
that's my concern, is the parking.
all right. Thank you. Jamie, the young lady mentioned that Public Works and everybody had been out there, so did they not report back to you about any of that?
They normally do come back to me if there's a problem.
Okay.
And so they didn't
There is a-
contact.
Well, were they perhaps just ruling on the building itself, that the building was adequate? I mean, do they have access to the necessary regulations?
Building inspector would, the building official would, Roger would. He and I have talked about this location.
Okay.
Did he say anything about the parking?
No, we didn't discuss that.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Dan Deffenbacher, and I own the property at 410 Hickory, and we have never had any difficulty with that parallel parking in front of the building. I've released in the past the individuals, a lawyer, real estate person, photography people, and they never had any problems with a problem with parking, especially that parallel parking in the front.
Is it
Adequate,
Is it striped off for parallel parking?
sir?
Is it striped off for parallel parking?
No, but it's a wide concrete edge to it for enough room for
There's no,
automobiles coming in and passing on street.
it's off of Hickory then,
Yes, sir.
so, and it is paved properly?
That parallel, yes, there it is.
Okay.
Yes, there it is.
You know, you go by Dr. Hall's place there, which is right on up, and I've seen
Right.
cars all lined up, marked along there.
Okay.
Right.
Full, and going into his house.
And as far as there being, let's say, plenty of room for parking,
3 or 4
to the
cars?
south side, there's always been plenty of room.
Okay.
And listen, between y'all and me, city inspector's been out there numerous times and has said a word to me about if there being a thought of a problem with parking. And I don't know necessarily, he hadn't contacted Ms. Sharp, and they haven't contacted me about that at all. And it's between y'all and me. All the inspectors have been up there, and they've signed off for fire, water, all the regs for city inspections, and they never said anything about parking. And very well welcome to let anybody want to go up there and take a look at our place. Very nice location, very nice inside, outside. Yes, sir.
Well, if we're gonna accept that the parking in the front
Yes, sir.
is adequate for, say, employees, then we would have to designate the parking on the side as the drop-off point. 'Cause I couldn't in good conscience say it would be okay to drop kids off on Hickory Street.
No.
Much too busy, traffic there. Plus, it would have to, there be in the southbound lane, so anybody going to the place would have to approach from the south side.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
They
I would
want
think,
their arrangements to have, we'll say, adequate handrails, concrete ramps for disabled individuals, children, wheelchairs, all that's been taken care of. And like I said, all the people who inspected the place, apparently they're perfectly satisfied with it, and said something
the
about it.
building's ADA compliant then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would think
Yes,
we
sir.
just need to put in the conditional use that children's pickup and drop-off be on the side of 4th Street.
At the very minimum, yes.
And they did not say anything about having a circle driveway in the front or the back or anything.
They didn't read the ordinance.
Well, that could be designated with striping. I mean, you could point some arrows and
Right.
mark the parking lot, so
Yes.
come in here and exit there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, sir.
Given what we've got and given the fact that the inspectors have looked it over, well, we just have to designate the pickup and retrieval area to be on the south side on the 4th Street access.
I don't have a problem with that.
How many children is the building capable of holding?
27,
Is that
27,
27, is that by state regulation?
yes. License,
Off the square footage of what the state will allow?
yes.
Okay.
They don't have
Are you sure about that?
Excuse me,
Have you got any kind of confirmation on that?
on the 27 children,
Yeah.
I don't have it with me, but yes, I do, the license specialist, came and she measured it off, and she said 27 children for that area.
How many square feet is in that building?
It's 1485 or something like that right there, 1485.
Yes, you're getting very close to 1,500 square foot. About 35 to 50.
The driveway's gonna be 20 foot long for 8 kids. Yeah, 100 foot long driveway.
Circular driveway shall be laid one way and shall provide 20 linear feet for each 8 children. That's,
There's no,
this says the driveway shall provide 20 linear feet for each 8 children. So that would be 8 times, 3 times, it's gonna be 60-something feet.
Is that the state?
That's pick up and drop off
Yeah.
No, but that's 60-something
appropriation.
feet,
That's what, yeah.
you know.
that's what they're wanting, that's what the ordinance requires for a driveway or a circuit.
This is not a circle drive.
But
No.
we have, it also down here says, in F says, shall be permitted on the driveway, approved parking area directly in front of facility. I don't know if it has to be a circular drive or not.
I don't think it does.
I don't think so.
I'm going back to saying that B, that is the definition for a circular drive.
Right.
And then
You
you
can have-
go down to F, and that's the definition for loading and unloading.
Right.
That's, I think that's a misconception that you have to have a circular drive.
And because we have approved them before that don't have
Don't
circular
have circular
drives.
drives. We just did one for the church. We
Right.
didn't have a circular drive. So I think that, I don't know. Sure would be nice to have a building inspector here and confirmation on that circular drives if this comes up again.
And for this purpose,
But we can make it conditional. We can make it conditional.
That they meet the ordinance and that they have all the inspections. So we can, and that's what we've recommended. And I can talk to Roger, and if his view is that it has to have a circular drive, then they haven't met the ordinance. If his view is that the drop-off and pickup can be in a designated parking area or drop-off and pickup area, then that does meet the ordinance.
okay. Well, I'll make the motion to approve as long as it meets all the requirements, and have the staff park in front, so that leaves the side for drop-off and pickup, and have a designated area for drop-off and pickup.
And to that it has adequate striping and marking to indicate loading and
And
parking
unloading,
areas.
yeah.
Okay. Chair has a motion.
So we got a motion. We get a second?
Yeah.
Second?
Second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Edgar Smith,
Yes.
Bertha Dunn,
Yes.
Butch Thomas,
Yes.
Jason Dupree,
No.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Anderson Neal.
Yes. The conditional use is approved based on the conditions in the,
Can we ask you to get the city people, inspectors and stuff to clarify that?
What, B versus F? The circular drive versus.
Well, clarify the whole thing, the ordinance,
The whole thing.
so we know what to do going forward.
Oh,
okay, item number 4, row abandonment Petition by Clay Fricks, 6607 Tennessee Road, Texarkana, Arkansas, to vacate the unused, undeveloped portions of the following intersecting roads. Penny Lou Lane from Summit Drive to undeveloped Fortune Lane, row lies east of Block 22, lots 1 through 10, Wooten, second line in Section 25, Township 15, Range 28, Texarkana, Middle County, Arkansas. Block 23, lots 1 through 7, and Block 25, lots 7 through 9 of Wooten, second line lying in Section 25, Township 15 South, Range 28 West, Texarkana, Middle County, Arkansas. Row is approximately 60 feet wide, 1,354 feet in length, and contains 1.89 acres more or less. Okay, Dukes Drive from Summit Drive to Manor Way Road, row lies south of Block 22, lots 6 to 10 of Wooten, second line in Section 25, Township 15, Range 28, Texarkana, Middle County, Arkansas. Row is approximately 60 feet wide, 572 feet in length, and contains 0.81 acres more or less. Sunset Drive from Manor Way Road to undeveloped Penny Lou Lane, row lies south of Block 23, lots 6 to 10 of Wooden's second line in Section 25, Township 15 South, Range 28 West, Texarkana, Middle County, Arkansas. Row is approximately 60 feet wide, 520 feet in length, and contains 0.68 acres more or less.
Okay, this is a request by Clay Fricks to abandon these 3 right-of-ways. They are all contained in this piece of property. This is the only structure on the property, and it belongs to Don and Kim Cowan. The orange property up here belongs to John Fricks, which is Clay Fricks' brother. Clay Fricks owns all the yellow property, as well as this piece of property right here, which is where his residence is. And this is the property that's owned by Kim and Don Cowan. So it's all owned by one of 3 people. This is the original plat of this subdivision, and this Penny Lou Lane was developed down to here, and then it was not developed all the way down to Summit, and then this is Sunset Drive here, which has never been developed, and Dukes has never been developed either. These are the utilities. All the utilities have been reached out to as far, and that none of them have an issue with abandoning this right away.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
I'm putting the notes that the staff recommends approval, so.
When was this originally platted, this subdivision? When, do you know?
1967.
69?
We consulted Tennessee Strong.
Big subdivision never developed.
And don't plan on developing, right?
Well, if it hadn't developed by 69, I'd say it's a wash.
There's a lot of property out there that Mr. Fricks platted, plotted, whatever you want to say, that a lot of these things like this. I can remember back years ago.
Wow.
Do we have anybody that wants to speak for the project?
Yeah, as it's been, Clay Fricks, 6607 Tennessee Road. Mr. Wooten had planned on developing this property back in the 60s, and he ran into financial trouble and sold it to my dad. And we inherited it from him, my brother and I. And then I sold this property to Don and Kim Cowan that's adjacent to it. And all our property borders these proposed roads. And that we're never going to build anything or sell the lots or anything. So it's...
So the right-of-ways are trees growing in them and all of that by now,
Yes,
right?
and I don't think anyone's going to build a road through there that connects back to Summit from Summit when there's already a Summit Drive.
So this property's been basically static since '69?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And all of the property, all the pieces of property, all of them front on roads.
On the road.
So there's actually no need for access.
There's no need for access for anyone.
No, it's a deal.
It's kind of a no-brainer.
There's nobody against it. I don't think anybody would.
Any questions of Mr. Briggs? Thank you, sir. Any opposition? Hearing none.
Make a motion to approve the right-of-way abandonments.
Second.
Chair and second to move. Roll call.
Badger Smith,
Yes.
Bertha Dunn,
Yes.
Luke Thomas,
Yes.
Jason Dupree,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Anderson Neal.
Yes. No abandoned, approved. Okay, next item. Item number 5, 6-month review of request by Director Ward 2, Laney Harris, to amend ordinance L337 governing plan unit development, specifically regarding concerns related to tri-state recycling located at 1613, 1725, and 1909 East 9th, and 921 Couch, Texarkana, Arkansas, which were initially discussed by the Planning Commission on March 14, 2023.
Good evening, yeah. What is here tonight is back in.
Director Harris.
I'm Laney Harris, and I'm Laney Harris, and I live at 2005 Stephanie. And back in February of 2006, while I'm on the city council, a group of residents came to the board and spoke about the issue that they had over there at what they have in their neighborhood with Tri-State. So after that, I sent an email in February dated February 13, dated to the Planning Commission lady, Ms. Beck, and I basically had 7 requests. Now, and I'm gonna read out what 7 requests was and what 7 requests was and what y'all doing. I'm trying to correlate and find out what was the 7 requests and and y'all gonna do this, or was y'all gonna make a ruling on the 7 requests, because I don't know if y'all was y'all gonna do it. I also made a copy of y'all want the copy of 7 requests I had.
Thank you.
And do I really need them out? But it said request a public hearing on the next agenda before the Texarkana, Arkansas Planning Commission to amend ordinance L 337, Section 1, time of operation for this metal and or car shredding machine not to exceed 12 hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on a day for any type of metal operation, Monday through Friday, and Saturday from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. And 2, add the requirement that the products or the byproducts as results from this metal and car shredding machine operators shall not exceed the height or end of the day of property fence adjacent to the neighborhood street and or houses such as Couch Street and 14th Street. And number 4, review and add requirement as to who will review and address the issue that a violation of the said ordinance with some type of enforcement at municipal court level. Number 5, review and add requirement as to whom the citizen will make a complaint in regards to a violation of the said ordinance. And I got in parentheses, code enforcement and then city police. And number 6, review or add requirement whether a dB whether decibel, and I got in parentheses, dB meter is not required as to the issue of a noise complaint that the hours of operation had exceeded the said established hour of operation for this mellow and car shredding machine. Number 7, review and or add the requirement of the said violation to be a noise complaint or a city order or both that exceed the hours of operation complaint. Number 8, review and add requirement review and add requirement due to the concern brought by the citizen at the February 6th Board of Director meeting and request a transcript for y'all planning committee. Now, I don't know if y'all ever got the transcript from what the citizen that came to the board meeting and spoke of, and I know they gonna have some issues in regard to this, but what my main concern is, do the resident have to hear that operation up to 12 or 1 o'clock at night? And I figure that 12 hours is reasonable enough time for Tri-State to do their mellow machine operate. It's not saying that they gonna operate that 12 hours within a day, but I think from some 6 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. that evening, if you could have that time to operate your shredding machine, I think that's way and fair enough. And that's probably one of the major concerns that I can see, and I think that this planning commission should make a ruling in amending the ordinance, because I know they got it that, from my understanding, the way they got the ordinance written, that they only doing cars at a certain time, then the other time they supposed to do so-called less noise making operation. So, and I think if that's not the way, and I think that ordinance was approved back in 2004, but I wasn't on the council back in 2004, so I don't know what criteria and what was the issue before, and how were they done, and did they have this type of meeting when the board directing? And I can't say who was in the y'all other than well, I ain't gonna get into that. I was gonna say who was on the planning commission back in 2004, but that's another issue at hand. And that's basically what I can see here. And those are the, like I said, 8 requirements. And I don't know if y'all is here tonight to per se address those 8 requirements, but I'm saying this was done and this was gave to the planning commission later, Ms. Beck, but based on when we had that meeting back then, sound like this was somewhat being sidestepped to a certain point, because I never heard no one from y'all standpoint and asked that question about the time of operation. No, I think it brought up about the noise per se. Then we get into an issue of decibel meter, which I think Mr. Lee there probably gonna speak about that with the issue he had about that when he even called the police out there, and the police wasn't from where he stated to me that they weren't taking no complaints and they didn't have no decibel. But the way how I got this addressed, a decibel meter would not per se be an issue if you limit the time of operation, because like I said, and Mama end with this here, would any of y'all want to hear this constant noise, 18 some hours a day from 6 in the morning up to 12 o'clock at night, you know? And that's the way the ordinance is written, that they can operate their ordinance up to that time. They can operate the shredding machine. So what I'm trying to do is limit the time of operation of the shredding machine up to 12 hours a day. And I think, like I said, that's more than fair enough. And these other 8 points, I say 7 points I brought up, because I know Mr. Lee Dale, I hope he don't mind me mentioning his name. He asked me about at what point does a decibel meeting place and when the police write a ticket. I said, well, if you driving down the street and the police think you got a noise, your music up too high, he ain't gonna stop and tell you that, according to my DB reading, your noise hit your car speakers or your music was up this level. He just gonna write you a ticket and you're just gonna have you going to court. He's not gonna say that, and then he gonna come and testify based on his ear, what he heard and what he reasonably heard that was loud. Then you may get $1,000. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think a ticket is up to $1,000 for noise issue, because I remember when I was on the board when they came up, and I think I didn't vote for that with the loud music thing ordinance, because the way it was done and it was being subjected enforcement, because it's what one officer, you may be going down to the street playing country and western loud enough, he may like that. Well, and then again, you may be going down the street playing rap, he don't like that. So you just, then I'm saying that's subjective, but that's really beside the point what I'm talking about. I'm talking about as to whether decibel meter should be required during this process for the resident here, whether they hear that. So should be based on what they hear and what they feel that is loud, because if it's Mr. Lee Dale and I'm trying to think who to stay, and Miss Fuzz and the people who stand close to it, and I said I can even hear the shredding machine, and I'm staying over there at some point early in the morning. I stand way over there across the railroad track, adjacent to the railroad track. So if I'm hearing the shredding machine sometime in the morning and sometime at night, I just think what the residents is going through. And I think that should be about my point. And I'm going to end with this here. If you can amend that ordinance, and I think that's the issue, would be a thing. And I know Tri-State went into the point of doing, they were going to put in noise barrier, they was going to do, and I think maybe the trees may have did something about the height of the byproduct, but even though if the trees is in place, you still gonna have the wind as the issue. You know, even though you have trees, I don't think that trees gonna be able to stop all that, because you go out there, I think I had took pictures, but I don't think any of y'all have in the pictures with this that was forwarded through y'all when I first sent this request there, that the thing was more than 20 feet higher than they 10-foot fence. So, but now this time that the leaves have grown on the trees, so you're not gonna have that much of an effect right now, but you still may have more effect when the wind comes through there, for strong wind, you still gonna blow the stuff over that, and that's basically about what I have to say. And I know there was some other resident here that want to speak on this, but that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any others from the neighborhood that want to speak on the project?
My name is Lee Dale Robinson. I reside at 2100 East 11th. And I'm really coming to speak on behalf of the elder people in my neighborhood that didn't come to the meeting to make it here, but we talk all the time. And the big issue we have over there now is the noise, not the noise that we're worrying about them, because they say they're doing a better job with the noise, but it's the time. You hear this when you wake up. You hear this when you go to bed. And they had a meeting at the community center about what we were finna come up here about. And I kept asking the young lady, you addressing everything itself, the time and hours of operation. And she assured me that would not change, no matter what. That would not change. And I say this on the behalf of the people who work over there. They say they got hundreds of people working over there. But after 6 o'clock, 95% of those people go home. He says like 4 or 5 people over there operating the machine after the rest of the people go home. So why can't they just cut down to the 12 hours and let us have half our day without all this noise? Just give us half of the day. We're not asking them to close the tri-state down. We just want it to be shut down at 6 o'clock so we can come outside and enjoy the day. That's how we asked them. We not hear about none of the noise now. We worried about that on down the line. Right now, we want our neighborhood back where we can go outside and sit in our yard like normal people do. That's what we down here for now. That's what we worried about.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the neighborhood?
First of all, my name is Pete Cheatham. I live at 1507 Ray Street. And I'm kind of up here because we had an assessment by a group from South Carolina. Came in, he was here 2 days, and he did an assessment of the problem that we concerned about. And he gave us a couple of talking points. And I'd like to read a couple of them, if it's okay with you all. Okay. First one was, environment justice is the fair applicable of law, regulation, rules, and act, decisions, and forms in a ethical way to ensure community impact are engaged in a meaningful and authentic manner which results in elimination or reduction of harm. Environment justice has 17 points which support community ability to lead and speak to their concern. Also, he went around and he came up with a community safety, and he came up with that. Right now, the area's heat risk is 95%, that's extreme. Flood risk is 53%, and storm risk is 52%. And he, the talking point with dealing with this is sea level rise, and the results floods are a concern of many communities. For environmental justice communities such as Ozark Iron Mountain neighborhood are worried about the pollution in the water which flood their community due to the contamination site in and around their community. The Ozark England Mountain Station neighborhood are concerned about the legacy pollution on these brownfield and industrial areas, which when they flood carry petroleum and heavy metal into their community, which expose them to potential harmful chemicals which can impact their health. The residents are designing we are designing a citizen science project to document noise pollution in our neighborhood in collaboration with nationally recognized environmental justice organizations as Thriving Earth Exchange. Finally, the Ozark England Iron Mountain neighborhood are surrounded by industry, brownfield, and interstate, all impact the quality of life of the residents. Past and current residents talk about the leak which have occurred at the industrial site decades ago, but express concern about what they have been and exposed to. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone else that wants to speak from the community?
My name is Otha Williams Jr. I live at 1106 Lincoln Street. I've been staying there about 32 years. And my main concern is the noise, hours of operation of Tri-State, and also I've already, last past week, I've replaced 2 tires. East 9th Street is a mess. It's a pollution problem right there in front of Tri-State, about the whole, to the underpass, and about a mile up the other way. You get nails, all kind of stuff that's falling off them trucks. They're not doing enough to stop that, and 12 hours ought to be enough. I worked at Cooper Tire 33 years. 12 hours was enough for me. Thank y'all.
Is there anyone here, anyone else from the community?
I'm Chantel Young, and I used to drive up and down 9th Street because I have a daughter who stays on Grove Street, and I literally stopped going that way because I used to always get flat tires and debris always in the road. I stopped driving that way. I go around just so I don't have to deal with that, and it's really sad. They saying they're cleaning it up. I think I saw it on Facebook. I'm like, okay, like today I went through there. Haven't been through it in a while because I don't like to do it, and it was just glass and everything. I'm like, wow, this is it's really sad. It is. And you know, when we call the city, they're not fixing our tires. So, yeah, it's more than just noise nuisance. It's debris, and we shouldn't. If they know it's coming from what they're doing. If they're not going to clean it daily, weekly, it's not going to get it. If they're not going to clean it daily, they shouldn't be allowed to continue to cause these problems.
Anyone else from the neighborhood? Is there anyone from Tri-State that wants to address Commission?
Benjamin Glick, 1725 East 9th Street, on behalf of Tri-State Iron and Metal. First, I'd like to thank the Commission for taking the time to consider this matter, and I want to thank the members of the community for participating in government, and they've done a great job collaborating with us so that we can work together on solutions. To kind of address Director Harris's concerns, we did discuss this at the February 22nd meeting. I have a letter that was sent to him via email and given to the Commission that addresses each of those 8 points. I did speak with Tyler Richards, the Director of Public Works, this week, and I believe he spoke with the city planner, but the planned unit development was done in accordance with city law, went through this commission and went through the board of directors, and those are our hours of operation. To clarify any confusion, we cannot reduce our hours of operation. That would threaten the very existence of our business and the 200 employees that depend on Tri-State to put food on the table for their families. To really put a point on that, we have not made a profit over the course of this year. A lot of that was due to 11% metal loss in our system. And what you are discussing is eliminating 33% of our revenue. And that would speak to a taking of a property right, which I'm sure the Commission is familiar is constitutionally prohibited by the federal Constitution of the United States, and the city would be forced to compensate Tri-State for that loss. So this is where we are now. I'm here. I am sorry that it has caused inconvenience in the community, and we are fully open to working with the community to address that. Tri-State has been there since 1947, and we are going to vigorously defend our property rights as well.
Y'all have addressed the points that were brought up at that meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm prepared to speak about. I kind of want to rein it back in. Based on the minutes that Jamie was kind enough to give me, there were really 5 points that y'all wanted us to come back in 6 months and address, and that's what I'd like to talk about now. You know, to quote former President Barack Obama, you can have your own opinion, but you cannot have your own facts. And so I would just like to talk a little bit about the facts of what we've done and what is going on at Tri-State and the neighborhood. In terms of noise reduction, I couldn't be more proud of the efforts that our company has made and the feedback that we've gotten from the community to validate those efforts. What we determined through the course of community meetings and listening to the actual noise in the community with community members is that the noise in question was not coming from our shredding operation, which is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., but was actually coming from our non-ferrous downstream sorting operation. And that is permitted under Ordinance 337 to continue from 6 p.m. to midnight. Once we had identified that issue, we quickly worked with our engineering and maintenance team to address those concerns. I believe you have a handout. If you will turn to kind of page 3, where it says the Trammell House, that is the beginning of the non-ferrous sorting operation. What you'll see there is a fully enclosed structure, and that was built since February, and that was the first step in our noise reduction strategy. That was successful, but what we noticed was after we enclosed the trammel, there was still noise. And that's where we continued on with other noise mitigation strategies, specifically the 4 chutes where material comes out of the trammel. What we did is remove angles in all those chutes, so it's a straight drop and it's not catching edges or hitting a bottom to clang. In addition, when we rebuilt those chutes, we put a noise dampening material on the inside, lining it, and then we bolted rubber to the outside to completely deaden the noise. I was at the plant today. I had a conversation at this level of voice beneath that very machine. I am very impressed with the noise reduction that has occurred. Like I said, we wanted to make sure that these weren't just engineering solutions, but that were felt and responsive to the community's needs. We sent out a survey to the community. Based on those survey results, we got an 82% positive response that the community did feel like there was a reduction in the noise. One of those negative responses was a not sure, or it would have been 91%. And if you look at page 4, you can see a graph of those survey results and some of the testimonials and the feedback we received. Yes, I've noticed an improvement of noise heard. I thank you for that and God bless you. A lot less. It is so much quieter, and thanks for the improvements.
How many of these did you send out? How many questionnaires?
I believe 50. It was everything on Couch Street, and then we posted them at some locations in the community.
How many did you get back?
We got 11 back.
Out of 50, only 11 responded?
Yeah, and we really wanted more response, and so anyone who sent a response back got a $25 gift card. And so this is what we got back, and that's the data we have in front of us. In response to air quality concerns, we own the property that is closest to the Iron Mountain community. We call it the ball field. It's always been left vacant. After the February meeting, we told you we were doing an air quality test that took about 3 weeks to get those results back. The good news is it was a great test. We were and are below the detectable limits for any pollutant that was measured. We also coordinated with the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality. They sent 2 inspectors out over the course of the summer. I believe it was July, and they reviewed the results. They walked our plant. There was no concerns there. Again, we want to make sure that we're being responsive to the community. As we mentioned at the February meeting, we're going to move our cutting operation from the side of the property, don't let me mess this up, east, that would be closest to the neighborhood. We moved it across the railroad tracks on our property to the other side. Based on that, we got a 91% positive response that there's been an improvement in the air quality and odor in the neighborhood. And if you will turn to the very last page, you can see those results there. Some of the testimonials were, yes, I have certainly noticed an improvement in the odor. It is better, but it is also a blessing, and our health involved in the yard and sitting on the porch. We thank you and keep up the good work. Not as smoky now. Never really noticed the smell. Yes, the smell wasn't that bad at all to us. It's not as polluted, or it was never an issue of mine. In terms of material storage, as we told the commission back in February, this was an unfortunate circumstance due to COVID, supply chains. A lot of things beyond our control, but we're still here to take ownership of it. Those supply chains have unclogged relatively. We have that line running now, and we have been processing the material. If you look at the top of page 3, that is what we call the fines pile, and you'll see the reduction there. I was really eager to share this with the community because this picture is taken from our side of the property. So there could be a big misunderstanding there where you aren't seeing progress, and that is purely a safety concern. We have to kind of pull it back from the inside out. There isn't a safe way to do that for our employees and machinery to go straight to the fence side. That being said, we have removed the majority of the material, and we're processing it as quickly as we can, and we expect that to all be below the fence line by the end of October. Then the final concern was road debris. Since March 14th, we have been sweeping 9th Street on a weekly basis. We have coordinated with the Texarkana, Arkansas Police Department to educate our customers and help them enforce load securing laws. And that is something that is difficult for us to control by ourselves. Obviously, everyone that uses Highway 82 is not an employee or a customer of ours, and we do our very best to control that. I will say, personally, I've seen an improvement. We use that stretch of the road as our company and employees, and we're getting that feedback as well. Everyone is pleased with the cleaner road. I shouldn't say everyone. From our perspective, people have seen an improvement there, and we have gotten that feedback as well. In response to just some of the other environmental concerns that I heard raised in the community, we talked about the air quality. It's been tested. The state's been out. I just want to assure everyone that there's not an air quality issue in that neighborhood. In terms of water, it is impossible. That community is on the high side in terms of topography, and water does not run uphill. We have a stormwater plan. There's a single point of discharge that is at the complete opposite corner of the property. That goes through a retention pond. It is sampled quarterly and is discharged into Nicks Creek, and we have never had a complaint with that. So not a water issue. The other thing that the gentleman from South Carolina mentioned is a legacy brownfield. That would apply if someone was going to build a residence on our plant. It's not for sale, it's not residential, and so I don't think that'll be an issue. And that is the information we're prepared to discuss today. I'm happy to answer any questions, and yeah, just really appreciate the commission's time.
The only thing I could think of, if it were possible, and I don't know, is the city the one sweeping the street once a week?
We personally do that, yeah. Those are our employees.
Would there be a chance they could sweep it twice a week? Just, and I don't know what days or whatever, but just to increase that more often. Yeah.
Yes, that's absolutely something.
I drive that street every day and have noticed quite a bit of junk in the streets.
Yes, sir.
Or maybe, whatever y'all do, 2-3 times, whatever you think is necessary to try to keep the street as clean as possible.
More than happy to work with the commission and the community on that.
That would be my only thing.
Any other commissioners have any questions of Tri-State?
Where do we think the debris is coming from?
I think it's coming from the people bringing stuff to Tri-State, correct? Don't you think so?
I'm not going to pretend like we aren't involved. I do think it's our customers. All of our big trucks, the 18-wheelers, those are either going to be in a high-side trailer where it's very difficult for metal to blow out. It's going to be enclosed in a van. But we do have customers who bring things in on a flatbed trailer, it's tied down, and that should be tarped, and that's a Texarkana law, that's a state law, and we work with the police department to help enforce that, and we've done some educational things, outreach to our customers to help improve that. But I'm not here to say that we are satisfied with where it's at, but we are going to continue to work at it.
I know they have South State Line, everything's supposed to be tied and tarped, go down there, and they still have stuff out. It's hard for people, individuals bringing stuff, to take care of that.
And I understand people have the equipment and the resources they have, and they need to sell their scrap, and so there is a balance there.
Well, I mean, everybody acknowledges the debris is there because your business is there, but you can't, the only thing that you can control is what exits your plant. You don't have much control over what comes into your plant. There's other agencies that can control that, like the police department, if someone doesn't have a secure load, but you're sweeping the street, it certainly helps taking care of that issue. So it's, I see the difficulty there.
Yes, sir.
And you and your drivers and your trucks, you all are under DOT law also. So there's fines applicable to you if you're throwing stuff out of your truck as you go down the road. So this all becomes a law enforcement agency, but I appreciate the fact that you're being proactive in trying to at least keep your front of your building and your front of your business cleaned up as well as possible.
Yes, sir. We very much strive to be good neighbors. As I mentioned, we've been there more than 75 years. The Iron Mountain community is near and dear to my heart, as is Texarkana.
So do you think you could sweep every day? Would that be a problem with that?
I would have to coordinate with kind of, that is not just my call, but our operations team and figure out a labor schedule. But I am here to say that we could do more.
So if we could get, I guess you got to see the costs associated with it or whatever, but maybe that would happen if we try to sweep every day. I don't know what time of the day or nothing, but I guess you guys would know that. But is it in the evening after the end of your business, or do you do it in the morning? I don't know, but you guys would know that.
Yes, again, I don't want to pretend or, get out in front of my skis, but yes, that is something that internally we could look at, and we are happy to pursue.
Well, that's a proactive expense that you would have to bear. It's not something that we can require you to do.
Right. Well, that leaves the state highway. You have to have some sort of agreement with the state to even get out there and do that, don't you?
Yes, that's correct, and I'm glad you brought that up. We did have to get permission from the Arkansas Department of Transportation to privately sweep a state highway. So that's something we would have to look into with them. And really, I think a lot of our concern and the state's concern was safety of the employees, because it's not like we have police cruisers with flashing lights or something to protect the people sweeping.
That you'd have to go back to the state. They put limitations on you, or did they?
Yes, we asked for permission to sweep weekly. We did not ask daily, so that'd be something we'd have to pursue with the state.
And we're not telling you to do that, we're just saying you might check in to do it 2 times a week, 3 times, whatever,
Oh, well, very much appreciate the commission's guidance.
All right. The ordinance from 2008.
Yes, sir.
That allowed y'all to go to midnight. Has the type of operation or the type of equipment that you're using after 6 p.m. changed since then, or is it still the same? I guess
y'all quit the grinding at 6 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
One time y'all were grinding till 12 o'clock at night, so.
Yes, in essence, no, but there have been improvements that honestly I think would have mitigated some noise. It should be running smaller. Yeah.
More loud.
Yeah. Again, and based on community feedback, and that was a really productive meeting, but being able to hear what the community's hearing and understand that, and with our understanding of the operations of the plant, it was really centered around that trommel and the initial shortings. sorting stage of that process. And then once we eliminated that noise or mitigated it, we turned to the chutes. And once we got the chutes in, and this is very recent, the third and fourth chutes went in this past weekend. So I'm really anxious to get another survey out and hear from the community and more community meetings, because I believe they're going to see that just as recently as Sunday, there's been an even greater improvement in noise mitigation.
Are there any other meetings planned or scheduled with the community as far as?
Our last one was August 10th, so we haven't scheduled the next one, but we're, hoping to have multiple meetings a year.
So this hours of operation would be from 6 a.m., this is what the ordinance said, 6 a.m. to 12 a.m., which is midnight, and the community have a problem with it going to midnight, but then you have a problem with cutting the hours. Am I hearing that right?
Yes, very much so.
Commissioner Dunn, the whole plant doesn't run till midnight. The grinder, the thing that chews up the cars, goes from 6 to 6.
It's in the ordinance too.
It's in the ordinance. But they do maintenance and they run, what is it?
It's we call it a non-ferrous sorting line, but it's not.
But that's what.
Is that the noise maker? The one that goes?
Well, the grinders are the biggest noise maker, and they stop at 6 o'clock. But the sorting thing, he's done all this stuff to squelch the noise, and the last things went in Sunday, right?
Yes, sir.
So.
And I'm here to emphatically say we do not shred after 6 p.m. It's impossible. You can pull payroll records. There's nobody there to shred. They've all gone home.
The original ordinance limited shredding from 6 to 6.
Right.
Yeah.
But it lets them operate their separators and stuff like that.
Yeah, all we're doing after that is sorting shredded material. Sure. And it's mostly a conveyor belt system.
So that's not as loud as the...
Oh, no.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, I'm Lee Robinson with the most complaints, and y'all are getting the wool pulled over y'all eyes. After 6 o'clock, it's two machines, two different grinders over there. Both of them make lots of noise. One of them made less noise, but you can't tell the difference when you're over in the neighborhood. He telling y'all he stopped at 6. That is not true. He stopped crushing cars at 6. They got a $1,000 piece of metal that they crushing up to midnight. That's what we complaining about. Give us a break. And he says there ain't enough people over there to do it. 3 or 4 people doing it after 6 o'clock. How much money you gonna lose if 3 or 4 people go home? How much money you gonna lose? Give us a break. Let us come out in our yard. I can't even take a walk down the street in the morning from the noise and the smoke. You can't walk in the evening.
I'll tell you what, I've listened to you 3 times now.
Yes.
And I hear this, I hear this, I hear this. I drive by that place all the time. I drive by it now, I live out there. And I've watched that machine, I've looked over there and never seen that machine running, sometimes on Sunday, sometimes at night, whatever. Bring me a picture.
I got your video. I got your video. I got video right now, sir.
At 8 o'clock at night that thing's running.
I can show you right now.
That conveyor belt is going.
Can I show you right now?
Yeah, show it to me. I want to see it. That's what I said. I want to see some proof. I've heard talk. I have not seen it.
I'm trying to figure out what's really going on here, because what I had put forward in that it stopped, that the shredding, any type of shredding, it stops at 6. I hadn't said nothing about they can stop working at 12 hours. I know y'all, he came up here and threatened y'all and threatened the city saying that if they lose money, if they change the ordinance, if y'all change that ordinance, well, they cannot use none of their shredding machine after 6 o'clock. But, and that's the issue I'm having as to, because if they saying that it was a issue that they can do with y'all, without y'all per se, in the sense of money, why do we have an ordinance that controlling that? You know, we're not controlling their time of work. They can work from 6 in the morning to 6 the next morning. What I got for y'all is not trying to control their time, but they working time, and he's putting two different things in place.
That's what I'm trying to clear up. You see, y'all are not shredding after 6 p.m., correct?
No.
You're sorting after 6 p.m. Laney, that's a total different thing.
Okay.
It says the shredders cannot go after 6. He's not shredding after 6. He's sorting after 6. I mean, I realize there's still some noise in it, but he's complying with ordinance.
Okay, well, okay. So you're just saying that y'all do not have something, so y'all couldn't, that's not an issue before y'all?
We cannot rewrite an ordinance. The city council can do that.
Mm-hmm. Who can?
The city council. Y'all pass all the ordinances, you're on the city council.
But the issue had to go through y'all from what I was told. That's the reason why I put that here, go through y'all. I asked about, I requested that to go on the agenda, that they could not operate none of their shredding machine. Now, I got this, I didn't say the car machine, I said no shredding machine need to be operated.
The way I understand, every time we have something that comes up to be an ordinance change or a new ordinance, it goes through the public works director. I mean, it goes through the public works director and our city planner. And the ordinance, I mean, we're given information to vote on. I don't see anything here to vote on because we don't have an ordinance in front of us, because it always says, we've got paperwork that says an ordinance.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that
I don't know where they end at. When I wrote up for the agenda item, we placed on the agenda after these, the people from the Mountain District came forward. I put a request, an ordinance to change that.
Did you write an ordinance?
Well, that's up to our city attorney to write that ordinance
You
change.
need to talk to the city attorney.
Okay, but that's up to him to write that ordinance. But what I'm trying to say is that, and I got an email from the city clerk stating to the fact that nothing can be done to that ordinance unless it go through y'all first.
But it has to be written up as an ordinance first, and then it can go.
Okay, but
You're putting us in a hot seat here that we don't belong in.
Okay, but
because you got the cart before the horse.
Well, I'm saying that's what I was told. I seen it on the agenda item before our city clerk to change that ordinance, well, this ordinance L337. And she gave me an email back saying that, which I can show you the email, stating the email back that ordinance cannot be changed unless the issue come before y'all. Then when the issue come before y'all, either y'all voted up or y'all voted down the change, and then it'll come back to the board for final approval. Now
But it has to be a written ordinance.
Okay, but I understand that. But where the ball dropped it like I said, and that's what I was told. Now, there ain't no problem. A written ordinance can be done tonight and can be submitted to y'all, or it can be submitted to y'all the next day. That's not an issue. But the ordinance is gonna say what was said, that no shredding operation past 6 p.m. Either y'all gonna say yay, or either y'all gonna say no.
But he's already said he's not shredding after 6 p.m.
Okay, but
I got some proof right here.
but
Hey, I'd also like to ask you, did you fill out one of those petition that The survey?
I don't know if my coincidence.
Show me something.
This at 11, this after 11 p.m. That's after 11 p.m.
Yes, they're gonna have to cut it off.
I mean, I feel for what you're saying.
These are changes that Danny has proposed to this ordinance.
Right.
So we would have to
Which one's the crusher? Is that the crusher over there?
What he was saying.
No. I'm asking you a question. Don't tell me what he's doing. I'm asking you a question. That's the crusher.
On this side.
So what he's doing is the sorter.
I don't know. It's not clear enough for me to tell. I can't. I'm not gonna real good pictures. I can't.
Well, I presented a whole clip for y'all to watch, but y'all wouldn't let us show the last time we were here. I had a whole video made, of everything, all the video, but y'all wouldn't allow me to put it up on the screen up here. I got this out the lemon.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, is there anything in this packet for us to vote on?
There's nothing for us to vote on right now, no.
I wanted a couple of things. The request that was put forward in March was for the car or metal shredding operation to operate from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The current ordinance that is in place says the shredding machine can only operate from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Correct.
So I think the confusion is being where the noise is coming from.
And they've installed a whole bunch of stuff and spent a lot of money to cut down that noise.
Right.
But it just got finished on Sunday, so you really hadn't had a.
I spoke to Tyler today, and he said that, and these are his words, that he had been over there numerous times, that he could find no violation of any city ordinances or OSHA requirements, and that Tri-State had been more than cooperative and been over backwards to do everything that we had asked them to do.
That's what we need to know.
There is also a question about jurisdiction, because in order to change the operating hours, it is an amendment to the PUD. And we are the ones that have the authority to do that. However, a request to change a PUD normally comes from the property owner. In this case, it's coming from an outside entity. So I need to talk to the attorney or the municipal league and find out what that process is. Because we have not ever had, as far as I know.
So you're saying we don't even have, you don't think we've got the authority to change it?
I'm not sure, because we have the authority to change it if the property owner requests it. But we are asking for a change of a PUD from someone who is not the property owner.
Okay. Even though he's on the board?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter?
It don't matter.
So I need to find out what that process is for a citizen to request.
Or if there's a process.
Or if there's a process.
So we would be in violation of code and law if we
did anything.
She doesn't know yet.
I don't know yet. This is not something that's ever come up before.
So all we can do at this point right now is just to,
You can vote to suspend the review, because that's what we were asked to do, was review it.
What?
This is just the review.
This is just the review.
This is the review.
Yeah.
End the review.
You can just, you can vote to suspend the review.
We don't have to vote.
Well, yeah, and then once I find out what the process is, I will get with Director Harris and Mr. Glick, and I will let you all know.
And the city manager.
And the city manager, who will be here Monday, and let you guys know what that next step is, if they want to pursue changing the PUD.
Do we need to put a time limit on that, like, this was six months?
I think we need a motion to close the meeting and go home and let them do their job. And then we open it back up
I will commit to reaching out tomorrow to the people that will have an answer for me about the process, and I will try to get that by the end of the week. But I will reach out to them tomorrow.
Okay? Any further staff comments? Okay. Next meeting, Jake, is October the 10th, 2023.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.